Hey guys, welcome to Chief Pigskin's YouTube channel. You're about to watch a home clinic where we find one quality coach and he talks on one very specific subject. If you'd like to see more of these come your way, please like and subscribe below and check us out at clinic.chiefpigskin.com.
All right, welcome to another home clinic with Chief Pigskin. Today, I'm glad to be joined by the 2019 Iowa Coach of the Year, Western Dubuque's head coach, Justin Penner. They were the 3A state champions in his sixth season and MaxPreps #1 school in Iowa. Coach Penner, thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, I'm pumped to be doing this. Thanks for having me.
So today, Coach, you're going to talk about communication and kind of what you guys do and how you guys do things uniquely to Western Dubuque.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think communication is really what makes us special. And you know, between our kids and our coaches and just coaches to coaches. So excited to be able to share that with you guys today.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. One of the big things, 2019 Iowa Coach of the Year. You guys in your sixth season. How does it feel coming off of kind of the state championship, Coach of the Year? How does it feel coming into that offseason?
Well, to be honest with you, it didn't take long to to humble myself, and I don't know if I really feel like a state champion football coach. Keep in mind, wasn't terribly long ago for Mason City. I was the first ever 1-8 football coach to make the state playoffs. The way things had all worked out, and so I was one of the worst coaches in the state. 8-10 years ago. So really, blessed with my situation, but I don't look at myself so much like a state champion yet.
Gotcha. Well, we're excited to have you. Excited that you're able to jump on, and excited to kind of hear what you have to say for communication and see kind of what we can do here in kind of a weird time to get better and bring to our team.
Yeah. It's not a great time in American history, but it's a great time to get better. That's for sure. All right. Are you seeing that all right, Coach?
Yep, it's popping up. There we go.
Okay. All right. I think some of the things that we do as a staff really well. And, I truly believe that my staff is what makes us, such a good group of guys in terms of the knowledge with our guys and the passion we have. It's difficult to find great coaches. We have great coaches and we have, kids that do a lot of sports. So there's a lot of things culturally that are going in our favor. Okay. But, one thing I want to take you through is some of the things that we do throughout a week's time that really create a winning advantage. And I think this can be true for everybody. And if it doesn't work for you with what we do, at least it'll make you a little introspective on what you do and how you do it and how detailed you want to get about it. So I'm going to go ahead and start us on Saturday morning right after a football game. We do have the guys come in every Saturday morning, and they do injury checks. And one of the neat things that they do is they're referees and clinicians for the youth flag football league. So our kindergartners get coached every week by our older kids, and so they kind of have a practice and then a scrimmage, and then first and second, third and fourth, and fifth and sixth graders have flag football. And we have full contact starting in third grade as well. But our high school kids are very involved with our youth flag football league. While that's going on, we have coaches inside breaking down film in terms of giving tackle points and putting up our statistics onto quick stats, and they'll meet with kids that aren't refereeing. And then when all the games are over with, we have a team film session at 9:50 to 10:30. We've been very successful, and the guy that taught me how to coach, Mike Cooper, one big piece of advice he had given me was when you win, treat them like they lose, and when you lose, treat them like they've won. And I believe that's a great formula in terms of trying to keep kids humble and hungry, but also, on a level deal, trying to be stoic as possible. And that film session for us after wins is it's rough. I mean, we get after guys and we hold them accountable and we hold ourselves accountable. Hey, that's a bad call, or we shouldn't have called that in this situation, or we didn't prepare you. But at the same token, hey, this is something we got to focus on this week. So guys are not to leave Saturday morning without two things that they need to work on the following week, so that they understand the purpose in getting better through practice on the week to come. Coaches then, they can stay as long as they want afterwards. Some guys, we got young guys with young families, and they jet out of there and they're on their own for film. My goal personally is I don't want to leave until I've seen the opponent and watch some whole games. Typically, try to get home by the end of the first quarter of the Iowa game, and that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's 2:00. It just all depends on how things are going. But I try to get as much done on Saturday morning as possible. When I leave the school, I will look at film once in a while on my phone, but I owe it to my family to be home, for 24 hours, where my number one priority is not coaching football, it's to be dad. And that's my dad time. That's my husband time. And I stink at that the rest of the week, but I really try to be good at it during that time. But all the coaches are on their own for film. We do share ideas back and forth. Obviously, the Twitter world with coaching has been really good. And we start popping up ideas. This looks great. And look at what Auburn did today, or would you look at what Appalachian State did, and we're throwing ideas back and forth, and we've got that's kind of a library of ideas for us throughout the season is our little Twitter chat group. Coaches will also start texting their position groups and say, what do you guys think this week? And so, my group might be quarterbacks and receivers. We're talking about their corners and their safeties and their linebackers. And we're having conversations, and we've obviously taught kids, what are some of our pass game accelerators that we learned from Dubmatics, and how can we capitalize on matchups and formations and those types of things. It's neat to get our kids involved and treat them like coaches. So this is all about, ownership in the process and really trying to get kids to buy in. We want to treat kids like coaches as much as possible. That spills over into Sunday. And like I said, I owe my family 24 hours. So I typically come in, sometime around, between noon and 2, and try to get there and get some communications done, sending out my weekly email and those types of things before the coaches come in and watch some more film. But the defensive staff trickles in as they will, and they'll work without me, and I'll just interject as needed. But I have two guys that kind of lead up the show. One's a front half guy, one's a back half guy, and they're drawing up play cards and they're discussing things. And obviously there's certain things that they have to give more prudence to than other things. And so they're trying to have conversations, but be efficient with their time because they have people that they want to get home to as well. And they'll leave when their job is done, but that typically is never before 6:30 at night. And we have a kicking coach that will come in and from 6:30 to 7 or so, we'll discuss kicking things. And nice to have a guy this year who his whole focus was special teams, hang times, excuse me. But all he was looking at is a variety of situations that we should be alert to when all of us were really focused on offense and defense. And I'd say that really paid off because, like punt team, which we have, one coach in charge of, and as well as our kicking coach, we only gave up 6 return yards on punt this year, which was huge. And obviously that statistic was brought to our attention because of Coach Ulrich. So kind of a neat deal there. So we have special teams, and then we'll flow into offense. And those offensive coaches are a lot like me. They want to, I'm more more involved in the offensive game planning, and those guys have young kids, and they want to be at home with them as long as possible. So we don't start our offensive meeting typically till 7 o'clock at night, which is where a lot of this discussion is going to go with. But those guys want to be able to have supper with their families, and so that's how we do things on Sunday. But our Sunday meeting is incredibly valuable to us, and we have a very big influence from Dub Maddox and the R4 system on how we decided to develop our Sunday night meetings. And, it really helps us be efficient, but it also helps us be effective. And it's really helped us out an awful lot. So we have our rhythm discussion, read discussion, rush discussion, and release discussion. And sometimes we don't get all those things done on Sunday night because, we just get too heavily involved in things. But we really have some in-depth conversations, and those typically last until at least midnight. In the playoffs, it was, well into the night, and sometimes, 1 o'clock in the morning, and we just have to cut things off and continue at another time. But it's late nights, and Monday mornings are sometimes sleep-deprived ones for us. But those are great discussions for us, and I can go over more details about those. But we have a spreadsheet that we work off of. Again, that's kind of an R4 thing. And then we have a Word document that kind of keeps us on pace as well. So our goals when we leave there, we want to make sure that first and second down in the open field are covered with our run and our pass game grids. So we know what we really need to focus on Monday and Tuesday. Sometimes we get more than that done, and sometimes we get a little less. But definitely have to have those things done, and our adjustments as needed. When the guys arrive for offense, we will discuss these things, and sometimes the better the team, the more in depth we get on these things. The better the personnel, the more we have to evaluate them. We will always know the best personnel on every team. We do take every team extremely seriously. But we want to know, what are those guys? Are they penetrators? Are they pin players? Are they pluggers, pursuit players? And how do we take their strength and make it their weakness? And I think that's every offensive coordinator's job. On top of that, the pass game accelerators. And again, these are all credit to Dub Maddox. I didn't invent these. Read his books. What is open and adapt or die. Those are his deals. But we have our guys evaluating those things, the cushion and collision players, and what is capped and what is not capped, and we're adjusting our schemes based on those things. But we're also deciding, do we want to be more of an interior run team or a perimeter run team that week? Do we want to be a quick passing team? Do we need to be throwing a lot of screens? What do we need to do in order to be successful? Most of our discussions on Sunday nights are, we want to figure out how a defense operates. So we are going to spend a great deal of time trying to install their defense, so to speak. What are their rules against the nub tight end? Obviously, we're gonna start basic. 21 personnel. How would they adjust? 2 detached receivers, 3 detached. We have obviously our terminology. How would they adjust in unbalanced? All those types of things. Those things for us, like, we want to be able to teach our scout defense, or the STDs as we call them. We want to be able to teach them, this is how you guys are operating this week. So we're going to walk through on Monday and teach those guys, this is what you guys are doing, and these are your rules, and we're going to continue to develop that. But we want to believe we know how they operate. Basically right out of the gate, how do you align versus 2x2, 3x1? What are your base coverages? These are our base formations. So we want to obviously know how you line up. Now, if it's week 2 going against a team you've never gone against, and in week 1 they went against an option team, that's not going to be very telling. So we're going to have a lot of work to do there in researching their history. But for the most part, we're going to have to scour some film to feel out how they're going to defend us. Moving forward with Sunday nights, not only what are their, base alignments, but what are their base fronts, blitzes, what are they going to do on first and second down in the open field? And with that, we obviously, just like everybody else, we have things we hang our hat on. We're an inside zone team. We do some gap stuff, but of those schemes that we basically run, what are our best adjustments or best plays against those base fronts in each formation? All right. And some formations we're going to love and some we're going to hate. And so those grids that we make up, some of them will be full and some of them will be half empty, and some of them might have one or two plays. And so we just we decide what we want to live in during that time, and that changes each week. What are our best intermediate passes? We have some pass plays that are they're all weather, if you will, and we have some that we only carry week in and week out, depending on what formations. What coverages you guys run. All right, quick glance here at our Sunday nights and in our play grids. We basically just say, what's our best strong run, weak run, and if you're overloaded on the strong side, we're not going to run there. We're going to run to numbers, and obviously, there's going to be certain times when this whole thing is absolutely chock full. There's other times where we might just have 3 strong runs and the rest of it might be empty. It just may depend on how things are going. But the highlighted section is what we're looking to accomplish on Sunday night in terms of strong run, weak run, quick game, and intermediate passing game. And, that takes longer than you might think. Doing good so far? All right, here we go. We have different personnel groups, and we made this leap, when we made our deep playoff run last year. But our pro personnel is what we live in. If we don't have a tight end, all right, then we're going to live in that 10 personnel group. But we really like to live in that 11 to 20, or 11 to 20, however you guys want to label that. But our flex is our tight end type guy. He's kind of a hybrid between a fullback and a tight end, and so we use him a lot of different ways. But this pro is what we're really looking for. We're gonna foster some ideas on Sunday night with these other deals, especially in Rhino and Dragon. But the base of our discussion is, how are we going to live in pro or cheetah or both, and how are we going to be successful? So we break everything down: rhythm formations, read formations, again, all dogmatic stuff. But this is priority 1 on Sunday night. Okay, priority 2, and then we get real crazy there on after. We might get to, hey, well, what if we lined up in 4x1 or unbalanced, and we're just planting the seed? We're going to write some ideas down. We're not married to any idea right out of the gate, but more than likely, our goal is to leave with at least this done and possibly this as well. Our Sunday night read discussion, we really, really owe it to our offensive line to simplify the box as much as possible. So how do we get a 6-man box? Yes, this is how they line up. Yes, this is how they adjust and everything else. But, how do we get what we really want? How do we manipulate them? So we're going to be looking for those things. Is there a formation that we like, that we need to add a play or exploit? So what else do we need? And then on top of that, not only we like things and we need things, but then we have to prioritize how expensive of it is it in terms of practice time. So moving forward, if we get to this, and sometimes it's not on Sunday nights, but what should our tempo be? Do we need a freeze tempo? Do we need to speed things up or slow things down? Do we have more two-way players in them or less two-way players in them? How did they adjust to people speeding them up or slowing them down? Do we need to keep the ball out of their offense's hands? Those types of things. And then, we're moving forward into situational play calling, red zone calls, which we rarely get to until Wednesday, and then screens and draws. All right. As I said before, we almost never leave Sunday night meeting with a whole lot more than first and down, rhythm, play call, grid, formation ideas, shot ideas. We're definitely brainstorming, and no idea is crazy. We write it all down. We just kind of prioritize it from there on out. But sometimes these discussions get pushed back to, hey, it's midnight on Sunday. Let's text each other, email each other. Let's meet between classes, prep periods, before practice, after practice. So I think where I was younger, I believe that Sunday night needed to be the end all be all. We're going to decide everything and we're going to build our practice plans on that. And now I think we do a better job of saying, hey, this is the beginning of the conversation. It might be the bulk of it, but it's not the end of it. And we need to continue to learn throughout the week. We have until kickoff Friday to find out more. And let's utilize all that time better than everybody else. So we know this. We have to be prepared for that open field stuff. First and second down and open field versus a base defense. Now, Monday for us is very skill driven. And so we're going to do more Andy time on Monday. And keep in mind, in Iowa, being a 3A team, we're a bigger school, but our kids are prepared on both sides of the ball and our coaches are prepared on both sides of the ball. So we will practice offense and defense each day at separate times. And so our practices might be longer than a team that platoons their kids and their coaches. So we can't get everything done every day. Some guys might say, well, we do Indy time every day. Well, good for you. We do a lot, but we may not do as much as a team that platoons because we just don't have enough time to do it. So Tuesday, we just know that we're gonna add stress. We're gonna look ugly and embrace the ugly on Tuesday, okay, with stunts and blitzes. So our defensive coordinator, when he runs the STDs, he's getting after us. He's even making blitzes up, and we're gonna foresee any issues before they happen because we're gonna exploit ourselves, and again, we're gonna embrace the ugly, if you will. On Wednesday, our big focus is third down and third down defenses, and then goal line and goal line defenses, and then shot plays, of course. So Thursday, we go shoulder pads when most people don't. Okay, we're reviewing everything, especially those third down situations and goal line situations. Quick look at our practice plan. Again, like I said, we have a different amount of segments. Monday and Tuesday are going to be more defensive focused, where Wednesday and Thursday we're going to have a lot more offensive time. In fact, an awful lot of offensive time, and we'll go as long as we need. But, we do work a lot of group stuff more than we work individual time. But again, there'll be a degree of individual time every single day. Except for Thursday. We even have pregame stuff on Thursday. So I guess we really do Indy time about every single day. Monday practice, okay, we're going to have a long team meeting on that day, and our kids have to fill out notebooks and they know what's going on as well as the coaches. That's our big goal, right? It's not what the coach knows, it's what the kid knows. So we want our kids to know the other team as well as we do, and we want them to know our game plan as well as we do. So we have about an hour-long meeting, okay? Because we were able to put last week's game away on Saturday, we're able to focus just on our opponent on both sides of the ball and make sure that we leave there with an idea of what's going on. We will have time for scout team defensive alignment and assignments. We're going to make sure that on Mondays, we know how to fit things up. So we're going to go slow before we go fast, and then we're going to pick up tempo real quick, and we're going to get after it and get all the kinks out because guys are still a little bit sore on Monday. We almost never get to team offense on Monday. I have that on the bottom there, and I think it's one of those things we thought we could do, inside run and pass Skelly and team on Monday, but with daylight ending, we just don't have enough hours in the day, and that's where we end up ending usually is short a team. On Tuesdays, we meet, but we talk more about their blitzes, their rotations, their special fits. Again, this is a defensive heavy practice, but we're going to embrace the ugly on Tuesday, and we are, like I said, our our defensive guys are making up hypothetical blitzes that could expose us and really getting after us. And it may not be ideal. And there's still some things that we thought we might have liked that we're maybe not going to like on Tuesday. And we just need to know when we don't like those. So we also do a competition, which is first and 20, good on good. Okay, so the best guys we can put on both sides of the ball, we're going to compete. And coaches and kids are going to run if they lose. And so I don't like running very well. And so, try to win that every chance we get. I think we only lost it twice on offense last year, but it wasn't something we really enjoyed. On Wednesday, we have to be done and out of the building at 5:45. It might be easy if we were done with school earlier, but we don't get done with school until 3:09. And so we get to the field at 3:30. We do not meet. And we've got to be two and a quarter hours. And some coaches might think, well, that's just crazy. That's a short practice for us. And so we're getting after it. We're getting in good rhythm about what our rhythm play call grid is. Our guys are going fast, but we're also throughout the day, we're going to send those guys, hey, this is some clips of their defense, the blitzes that they're going to show you on third downs, the coverages, and then where they change in the red zone. So we're going to continue to embrace the ugly, okay? But we want to continue to live in hell during practice rather than Friday during the game. One thing we do is we go back through. We try to pride ourselves in being great teachers, okay? So we walk the offense through against the STDs and make sure that the STDs know, hey, this is how they adjust. And again, we want our kids to know the scout team defense better than anybody. And I think that's something that really helps us when kids understand why we're doing what we're doing. We're selling that we understand how to attack this team. And so, we're doing everything we can to sell our kids. Like I said, we send them cut-ups. We install our shot plays. We do have a screen draw team fit time where we go through slow, and then once we get going fast on that serves as a conditioning period. Yes, even on a Wednesday, maybe Chip Kelly might not agree with that tempo, but we're getting after it, and we are sweating on Wednesday, and then we will have a red zone period. On Thursday, we are going to have a special teams only meeting. We might review something real briefly, offensive or defensively. Okay, but then we get out there, we have pregame individual time. The idea is, hey, let's build some confidence, look sharp, build some chemistry. We'll do another walkthrough, but we're continuing to have discussions. These are some of the situations that we're going to work on during practice. I would love to tell you that we went through all of them. We did not get through a Hail Mary install at one time this year, and thank the Lord we didn't need it. But we will work through a great deal of situations because we don't go under center. I think one thing that's really important that we do is taking a knee under center. So we need to be able to do that. We also need to be able to spike the ball from under center. So those are things that we have to work on just because we are not an under center team. One play to win, we didn't get to that either. Again, thank the Lord we didn't need it this year. This is, if you don't get anything else out of this, I think the Thursday night test is something that really makes us special. And I owe this to our offensive line coach, Mike Elgin. He used to have the offensive linemen at our team meal draw up 5 run and 5 pass plays as detailed as he could. And our guys have to learn the big picture. So we started having everybody do this. And our position coaches meet with their kids, offense or defensive, and sometimes both, on 5 run plays, 5 pass plays, make it as detailed as possible. Now, we had a group of guys that loved the process this year. They took great notes on Monday, even Saturday and Sunday during those text message discussions we had, and throughout practice. And so we would have numbers and of players and their strengths and weaknesses as a scouting report that kids would turn in, as well as detailed descriptions of all of our plays. And so our kids really knew the game plan well, and they proved this. We call this a test on Thursday. You make sure you turn your test in, but really what it is it's a pre-test. We want to make sure that the real test on Friday night is passed because we know what we're doing, and we knew everything going on in terms of the game plan. Some guys aren't able to make it all that detailed, and some guys are. But we expect every guy on the depth chart, every single guy, to turn one of these in. And this is a one-on-one talk with your position coach, and this is just an accountability piece that really makes us special. All right. We do have started a coach's breakfast this year, and that was just to keep the conversation going. And keep in mind, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, coaches are talking before every practice, setting things up after every practice. And there's an awful lot of conversation going on. And I would advise that for any staff. Don't make it a one-man show by any means. But we have game day donuts that our donut boy does for us with the color of the frosting is the team we're playing against. So if it's a green and yellow team, the donuts are either going to be green or yellow, and kind of a fun deal that we do. And then, setting up the field and whatnot. And then our game day walkthrough that we do and we have an opening game ahead of time, but we started at 6:10. All of this stuff that we do on game night, we rehearse that on the first Friday of camp or practice. And so we talk to guys about, hey, what's expected. There's no music in the locker room. It's very, very quiet. It's very intense. There's nothing, I don't think, any more intense than silence. And so our guys, can listen to music, but it has to be on earbuds. We're doing a walkthrough with all coaches in all units at 6:10 in the gym. Game night, like I said, we rehearse it under the lights on the first Friday of camp. Okay. We have over 30 roles on a Friday night. We have a lot of people doing a lot of different things. And it's important to know that, we can't cross-contaminate. Everybody's got to respect one another's roles. And so one person talks to the officials, and that's me. Okay. We've got 7 varsity coaches, and it becomes a huge operation here, and everybody's valued here. Okay. We have 10 headsets. Okay. And mine's the only one that switches over. And then the play callers for both offense and defense are on the sidelines. Okay. And this is all specific game day stuff. We don't necessarily have defined, hey, you're the offense or defensive coordinator. We don't say that. I know the defense works together. 3-4 guys talk about what coverage, what front, what blitz they should be going through. That's all communicated between plays. And offensively, if I don't have the best call, I'm not going to call the play. I have, 2 other guys that are more than capable of calling the best play, and another guy upstairs who's a volunteer that it says, hey, why aren't you running this again? And, it doesn't matter who comes up with the play call as long as we get it right. We have 3 sophomore coaches, and typically they just got done coaching a game. But if we dress any sophomores that game, their job is to make sure to love those kids up a little bit during that second game. And they also help out. We had 3 water boys this year, making sure that those guys aren't causing any problems as well. Our freshman coaches, we have our freshman offensive coordinator upstairs with a headset on. We had our defensive coordinator at the freshman level. He's a big, thick-chested wrestling guy. He is my get-back guy, and I think you should always have a get-back guy that's bigger and stronger than you, because I get my crazy on Friday night, and I need to make sure that somebody can handle me. And he's basically my bouncer, and he does a great job. But really, the premise of all of this stuff is have defined roles for all your guys. Have a spreadsheet, and we do, just trying to make sure that everybody knows their role on Friday night. Who's in charge of pregame music, who's in charge of, if a helmet breaks or anything like that. Have people prepared to do that stuff. We have a great trainer who's now going to be full-time for us. And one thing I noticed in the first week is we had 2 guys injured. I didn't even know they were injured until they already, we couldn't get them. And so we now have, you're going to communicate, all injuries to the head coach directly or through the headset from another coach. So I might have the guy upstairs saying, hey, just so you know, Johnny is seeing Sue about his knee, so that somebody knows that I know. The important thing is, like, everything going on behind my back, I don't always see that stuff. And if you have a huge sideline full of people, some of that stuff can get missed, and it really creates some situations that might require timeouts, and that can be pretty valuable, of course. But also, personally, it's important that we show some compassion for those kids when they're banged up too. They need to know that we care about them as people. Like I said, we 3 to 4 ball boys. We that got out of hand a couple of years ago. Everybody wants to be a ball boy on the sideline. It's a fun time, but that can create a zoo on your sideline if you're not careful. So we really make sure those guys are trained on what to do. So we have those guys staying with certain sideline analysts. And then we have one guy designated for officials and those types of things, but they wear credentials, so we can't have any extra kids on the sidelines. Again, that'll spiral out of control in a hurry. Everything's very specified. We have stat keepers that used to have students doing this. It turns into more work for you if you have students doing it. If you can have adults do it, it's better. We've really had a lot of success with that over the years. Our chain crew knows the tempo we're trying to keep. They understand the 40-second play clock now. And then, we use an adult to take care of our footballs. And this is something that I'd recommend anybody who wants to be a tempo team. But these are little details that can really make your game day go a lot smoother. We have, like I said, 2 volunteers upstairs with headsets. Those guys are former defensive coordinators for us, and they do a great job. One thing that I try to make sure in one of their hands is a clock management deal, and he's charting plays. And I think, in terms of communication going on, he's the guy who tells me, punt the ball here, and I can get emotionally involved in a game, and he's kind of my voice of reason upstairs. Here are a few things that, we might put on his sheet upstairs. What are we going to do game plan wise? Here are 6 things that I want you to make sure you're going over. Now, keep in mind, these guys aren't with me through the week, so I have to spend time with them and make sure that they know what our game plan is. Okay. And they're answering these questions. This could be anything for you, which defensive tackle is going to, give us more fits, or are they staying too high where we thought they'd be too high, or whatever those questions may be. But have questions for them to specifically answer. Give them a defined role. This is the exact runoff chart that we use, and this is all based on 40-second play clock now. But make sure that they know and how much time you can run off, because in the end of a game, you need to be able to close it out and not leave the opponent any time at all. And this can be quite a challenge. Been in that situation, obviously, before. Stole this from somebody else online, but 2-point chart. They have this. I haven't had to use it a whole lot, but it's nice to know when you should go for 1 or go for 2. And then, when it comes down to it, the rest of that play call sheet that we have in our hands is going to have a bunch of different formations like that grid that we used on Sunday night. Just going over a few other things on game night, that conversation that you need to have. I don't think anybody ever discusses, what is discussed on the headset. So as I alluded to before with the guy upstairs, those are, keep me on my game plan, keep me focused at that, answer these questions as we go as soon as because I want to know the answers to those things. But more so, like, my offensive line coach is on the sideline. I want to if I want to run the ball first, second, third play of the next series, what should I call? Give them some ownership of that. And, if that play was bad, we've got sideline instant replay. Is that something we can fix, or is that something that we just need to be done with? Is there a better side of the field to run the ball to? Is there a personnel matchup that we need to be exploiting? Because, film is important, but teams don't always show you exactly who they are on film. And Friday night, a lot of things can change. Our wide receiver coach is pretty heavily involved, and really sharp offensive mind. And I might say to him, hey, give me a first down rhythm pass play that you like. I need to get going. I need to get Cal going here. I need to get him back in rhythm. So, guys have ownership of play calling. What's your favorite shot play here? Let's run a shot here. Or, so we're keeping the conversation going. These are just some ideas for you to roll with, some communication on your headsets. Now, I don't know how everybody else is using Sideline Instant Replay, but we have 3 guys on the sideline that are allowed to communicate with our coaches only, and they can't coach any players, and they find clips for us. So we designate them. They're pretty sharp guys, that know our system, but cannot commit to any more than Friday night. And then, the same goes with our camera operators. We have 2 of those and 1 person running the start and stop and the tagging of the clips. So it's really a 6-man operation. And, not everybody has that, but maybe you're a smaller school and you only need 1 guy on your sideline with the iPad and, whatever you can muster up. But we've had an awful lot of success with that. Again, just define the roles. I would steer clear of kids as much as possible because they tend to flake out on you if you have a kid operating a camera, but rare situations you can get the help you need. More on the Sideline Instant Replay. Again, we have designated positions. We're very specific about things. We have 1 guy just with the offensive line, 1 guy just with the wide receiver coach. Okay. Again, their job, I very specific. Don't coach the quarterbacks. I'll coach the quarterback. Okay. And then we have another guy with defense. They are always accessible to their group, even if their unit is on the field at that time. Excuse me. Halftime can be kind of a chaotic time if you don't have defined roles. I feel that, we're not structured to the T, but our defensive guys know, hey, we need 6 minutes of offensive time unless, we're really struggling on defense. And I will add to this. I think young coaches here at halftime, they want to hoot and holler and they want to give a rah-rah speech, and we don't believe in that. We're more of the very calm, stoic approach. Let's make sure that this is meaningful time, that we can come up with some answers and really talk to kids about solutions that are going to make an impact throughout the second half. So that's kind of a look at the halftime. Again, this may not be your plan, but it just gives you the idea that have a specific idea of how you want to handle your halftime discussions. So while the defensive guys are meeting with the kids, our upstairs coaches, they've sorted plays by gain and loss, and they've taken and they're going to meet with us on just outside the team room, and they're taking notes of our conversation at halftime. The sideline analysts, again, are making sure that each of their groups have replay in their hands, and then our quarterback typically is watching film as well. Again, our tone is real cerebral. It's calm. We're not big rah-rah guys at halftime. And, we believe that science proves, motivation only lasts for up to 2 plays. So that rah-rah speech isn't going to last you a real long time. We will review the game plan, those questions that I alluded to earlier. Hey, what did I say we wanted to do? What did I say we wanted to find out? And after finding those things out, has that changed? And, we haven't called this, but should we? Those types of things. We are not a big sandbox team. We got caught doing it one time, and it worked for us, but we're not a big draw things up on the sidelines and timeouts and making stuff up at halftime. That's just not who we are. We're more, what have we practiced? What are we prepared to succeed with after the half? So that conversation, plays, formations, adjustments, all those discussions are recorded. We have a guy who's pretty calm and writes those things down. And then as soon as I get the headset back on after halftime, we are going to debrief and review for the best retention. So, hey, John, let's review what we just went over. We want to do this. We want to do this. We want to do this. We want to avoid doing this. Okay, is that what you remember? Yeah, but don't forget we said this too. Okay, so we're reviewing what we said so that we can remember best. So, I guess to end the week, in that conversation piece is, my wife works for a company called Bard Materials, and I believe in their leadership and really respect their core values. And one of them is everybody sweeps the shop. And I love that. And so one thing that we do is the quarterback and I, it's our day to clean the locker room on Friday. Every position group has their day, but the head coach and the quarterback will sweep out the locker room before we leave. And that's our opportunity to serve our team. And we believe in servant leadership. So that's one thing that I think, it's a special lesson for leaders to learn. Video is a priority. If I don't have it in my hands to put up, then the person who is in charge of the video crew is going to put it up himself. And that's the way it went this year. But the trailer needs to get loaded up correctly. Something we need to get better at is every coach needs to help with that. I need, knee-jerk responses about, injuries and those types of things so we can get an idea who needs to meet with the trainer in the morning. So I always meet with the trainer before leaving. This is a big one to me. Repair broken relationships before they leave. Some kids are going to be upset that they didn't get the snaps that they felt like they deserved. Are you touching base with those kids? The kid that scored 5 touchdowns is always going to feel good. Doesn't matter if you won or lost, but that kid who's not getting a whole lot of playing time sure deserves your respect and your attention. So make sure that you're repairing those broken relationships as best you can before they leave. And then, like I said, sweep the locker room with your quarterback. I'd recommend every coach to do that. Whew. All right. That got a little long-winded. You said you're going to have some questions for me, but, I want guys to be sure that they can reach out. I think the best way to get in touch with me is on Twitter or email. But if you call me, I'm probably not going to ever check my voicemail. So go ahead and shoot me a text if I don't get back to you in time. Dylan, you're up.
Yeah, Coach, I'm going to unshare your screen here. Or
let's see. I'll stop share.
Yeah, there you go.
There
Perfect.
we go.
All right. No, Coach, that was awesome. I think a lot of that stuff is stuff that we don't, as a coaching group, really talk about, especially the headsets. Because I know personally, year one, headsets was a nonstop. This kid isn't doing that. We don't have another kid that can do that. And it's like, guys, that doesn't answer my question. I need somebody that can go out there, and I need a corner that can drop in a cover 3 zone. Like I don't need to hear that we can't rally up to make a play or he can't get deep. I need an answer, right?
And I think a young staff thinks it's your job to complain about officials. That should have been offsides. That should have been holding. That's identifying problems, and identifying problems without solutions is just complaining. We're not paying $7,000 for headsets to complain.
No, and that I think is a huge one. And that was my first year going into the second one. That was my number one point to the staff was, guys, I don't care anymore. We could talk about it after the game. We get to wherever we're going to have a beverage of choice, and we want to complain about how we were held all game long and our DN's jersey was on backwards by the end of the game. That's fine, but during the game, they're not helping us out anyway. So let's get past that. But no, I think the repair broken relationships, that's a huge one. Like you said, the kid that scored 5 times, he's going to feel great, right? He knows it. But there's probably maybe if you are 2 platooning, 25, 30 kids that might have got in that game. If you're not 2 platooning, you probably have 15, 18 kids that got in the game. You got to love up the rest of that, your team, because you need them to come back and keep playing the rest of the year.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I alluded to the R4 system. I think one thing I could recommend every staff to do is have a common language. Make sure that you're expediting your conversations on the sideline. You talk about answers. For us, are they lining up in a 3-tech? Our kids better know that. Our coaches better know that. We better be able to have a common language that we can speak fast and get answers quick. And hopefully you guys are developing that with your kids. And, I just think that's the way you ought to live.
No, I 100% agree. I think common language top to bottom is huge. As far as the kids that you even bring up, because, sometimes you get sophomores that you draft for sidelines and they might be your backups. You definitely need that coach there to kind of keep them in the game, because in a moment's notice, they might be thrown into that fire, right? And without having a coach there to kind of keep them engaged, they might all of a sudden, it's a crucial moment in the game, and you're relying on a sophomore that's never played in a varsity game or very limited snaps to now he has to go out there and perform for you. So no, that's huge. I really like that point too there, Coach. As far as during the week, I go for shoulder pads all week too.
You must be an O-line guy.
I was, and then I converted to QBs as well. So
yeah, our O linemen, they need shoulder pads, man. I mean, they want the defensive guys. You know, a couple years ago we didn't have them on Thursday, and everything looked ugly and ridiculous. Our kids didn't know the expectations.
Right.
We got mad. We sent them in, put the shoulder pads on, and we've never looked back.
They're not that heavy. You're not tearing them down. Like it would be okay. Like you go Thursdays in shoulder pads. It is just fine. Team notebook. What do you guys normally do with your team notebook?
So those are the kids' possessions. You know, we get after guys if they leave them sitting around, but they've got to bring them to every team meeting, starting in camp, and you know, they're to keep as detailed a notes as possible. But you know, we put a lot of stress on these kids to learn things. We got to make sure that we're holding them accountable for learning. So they bring them on Saturday mornings to film session, on Monday, you know, Tuesday meetings, Thursday meetings, and then, like I said, that culminates with the test on Thursday night during team meeting.
No, I love the test. I had an opportunity before the pandemic really broke out to go up to Northwestern, and I sat in on the quarterback meeting, and that's what they did. They put them up on the board, and coach gave all 6 or 7 quarterbacks a play to go draw up there, and I was like, man, that really makes sense. Like, make sure they know it kind of backwards and forwards, and they're able to explain it to everybody. That's awesome. Let me get a couple more here for you, Coach, and then I'll get you out of here. Kind of gotta work my way back. I got a ton of notes from your presentation. I think one of the big things from the beginning, when they win, treat them like they lose, and when they lose, treat them like they win. I think that's huge. Like, can't keep them too high for too long, can't keep them too low for too long. Kind of staying in that middle ground.
Yeah, if you've ever coached a really bad team, it's hard to be rough on them. Don't get me wrong. You got to hold them accountable, and you want to get better. But if you kick them while they're down, they're not going to respond to you.
Well, and you want to make it through the whole season, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a game that needs to be fun, and you want kids coming out having some fun. Winning's always fun, right? And you want to get better being a winner, but even as you're losing, you still want them to grow, develop, and get better. So you got to celebrate those successes. And I think that's sometimes we lose sight of that coaching. So no, I thought that was a huge key. And then one I'm going to get you out on, youth flag football. How'd you guys kind of start that up? And then what was kind of the thought process as far as doing that?
So Tyson Farley is the leader for us, and he's one of our film analysts on Friday night that has an iPad, but it's really his brainchild, and we just felt like developmentally, first and second grade full contact football was what was best for the game. And so we just kind of had an idea where we wanted our kids to be super involved in that. And so it started with like 40 kids, and it's evolved to over 200 kids and parents and the whole works. It's quite a deal on Saturday mornings, but you know, it started with a camp, and you know, we developed the rules. Be willing to share that with anybody, but really, it's simple. You know, we're not charging admission on Saturday mornings, and people are coming out and drinking coffee. And like I said, we're not paying for officials because those are our kids, and pretty basic premise. And we're really just trying to get kids to love the game of football, and you know, we kind of get an opportunity to push the passing game a little bit more too when there's not as much pressure on a quarterback too.
Doesn't love throwing the ball.
Yeah, and those are you know, skill sets that are going to translate over down the road as well. So and every kid's eligible too. So we go 6-on-6, and every kid's eligible, and so like I said, we have our own set of rules, and we kind of derived them from Drew Brees' league down in Louisiana, and that's been a really good thing for us. Hopefully it translates. I think this was year 4
Okay.
So, hopefully in the next few years, we're going to see bigger numbers.
No, I thought having varsity players ref it out, that's also a great way to get them kind of involved with the community and stuff. And, we're always looking for ways to give back to our community. And you talk about servant leadership and just kind of keeping everybody involved and growing the love of the game as a whole. And the flag football, that I think is huge. So that's definitely something I'm going to come back and talk to you about for sure.
Yeah, all on Google Docs, man. Pretty easy to hear that stuff, but it's been great. It's really been a good thing, and it's a really bright thing to look forward to. You used to run them on Saturday mornings. Now they get to ref flag football. The ones that started the league sure appreciated that, but these kids don't know what they're missing out on with that Miracle Mile anymore.
And as much fun as that was to watch, as the kids kind of limp through that mile, it's probably a little bit more enjoyable to watch the Rugrats run around and try and chuck the ball 40 yards downfield.
It is, and I'll tell you, I've got 3 boys of my own, and they participate too, and that's been really fun for me as a dad. But nothing was more humbling than a timed 8, a timed 4, a timed 2, and 2 timed 1s. Those guys really didn't enjoy that. A lot of guys got better through it. So,
well, Coach, thanks again for being part of the Chief Pigskin Home Clinic, and that's it.
Yeah, man. Hey, this was fun. I'd love to. I told you I needed a tidbit out of you. So you got something for me? What's something you've heard recently that would make me a better football coach?
So I don't know exactly what you do with your quarterbacks, but so for us, for the R4 system, we do a lot of skill development stuff in the off season. So we do our QB school. I don't know if you guys do kind of in the spring and late winter. What you guys do, but we do kind of our morning QB school stuff, and we go through all of our plays and the reads, and so the rhythm, read, release, and rush. We call my guys didn't like that they were all R words, so we called them something different. They're like, that's
real though. That's real culture, right?
Right.
Don't make it dogmatic.
Like, Coach, could we do something that's not an R word? I'm like, sure, guys. Whatever. Right. So we go through and we take one of our past concepts a week, and we go through and we break it down. And we started just with the quarterbacks. And of course, since everybody wants to be a part of it, now my O-line wants to do an O-line school, and all the skills want to be a part of it. So it's something that's really kind of evolved into the whole team comes on different days. So we do a skills school one morning, and then we do an O-line school one morning. And we pretty much get to kind of coach football all year round.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good.
And our quarterbacks seem to really like it. The receivers don't like it as much because now they understand why they don't get the ball. And they can kind of see it a little bit beforehand, like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I'm not getting this ball.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're like, like that corner's off. You're like, no, you got to keep running your route, and then we can come back to you. And they're like, you're not coming back to me. Like, I know exactly what you're looking at. There's no chance.
Thanks for watching another Chief Pigskin Home Clinic. If you could click the like button down below, and also hit subscribe so you get the latest Chief Pigskin videos up on YouTube. Also, check us out at chiefpigskin.com. Link should be in the description. Check out the online clinic that's available there. We got a ton of great coaches that are up there. You can subscribe and check those guys out as well.